Copilot Studio just got a massive update. It's not just an interface change, it's a completely new way of working. Hi, I'm Bruno and welcome to the Power Minutes. While there's a lot to cover in this new update, let's focus on what is perhaps the biggest game changers: skills and memory. These features have become staples in the AI community, and with this update, creating Copilot Studio agents will feel similar to many other tools for this purpose. But if it's your first time hearing about these terms, let me break them down for you. A skill is a reusable, self-contained unit of capability. Basically, it's a defined way of accomplishing a specific task, how to do one thing well and one thing only. Now, as for memory, this might be a bit easier to explain. Memory is how an agent maintains and retrieves information across interactions. Basically, this keeps information between sessions, so users don't have to repeat themselves over and over. Now, with that out of the way, let's first see what a skill file really is. I prepared a few ones over here, so let's just open the car dealership core. And as you can see, we can open it with Visual Studio Code or even a notepad. And what you can see here is basically a markdown file. There's nothing really technical to learn here other than a few markdowns and a few ways of structuring it. But as you can see over here, you're telling the agent, hey, here are some queries you should do, here's how the database looks like, and here's like how do you get the affordable cars, here's some examples as per some recent queries, and of course some sale pitches. So this makes it very much easier to do bot or an agent development, because previously, if you remember, you could do instructions to your agents, but you were limited to 8,000 characters per instruction set, meaning we often had to get creative and delegate either actions to other agents, build topics in particular to try and railroad the conversation, or even find other ways to automate that. Now we can just empower an agent with a file, and the best part of it is that it can be reused. We can download an existing skill from Copilot Studio or even another agent that uses skills and upload them directly to our agent. This makes development and collaboration much easier, especially when you're talking about other technologies that are not Copilot Studio. Your doorway just opened up to a whole new universe. So let's see what we can do. I prepared a very simple new agent. You can see that the interface now is much leaner as well. And you can see we put a very basic instruction set. We didn't really bother put much instruction set because now we can go through here on skills. We can upload a skill, and let me just grab car dealership over here. And you can see it's up here already. And we got it. It even translates back into the table format, and you got all the rich text display that your agent even uses to interpret what's important and what's not and how it's segmented. All right, great. So now let's give it a quick test. So under preview, we can go here and I want a list of the 10 most affordable models. Okay, you can technically do it yourself, but we also empowered our agent to give you some sales tips, and as you can see, it's already loading the skill called car dealership core, and it's performing the query itself. So the only thing we didn't show you today here is we used Dataverse MCP. It's very, very important in our mind to use it, because this way we don't have to enforce the queries. Of course, we can complement them in our skills file, but we don't have to handwrite them. We can leave the agent to complement and rewrite them. So as you can see, we have a few topics to bring. We can see that, yeah, we got plenty of affordable cars. Sometimes we don't need a brand new car, or we don't need the latest model. So you can see that we have a few to pick. And you can see also it mentions there's a lot of availability, so you can probably take one home today if you so wish to. All right, so that is the overview of the skill file and how we can use it in our agents to have a much faster development and integration. Now, I've shown you the perks of using skill files, but how do we make them? Sure, there's a dedicated set of tools and platforms out there to help you with that. I won't deny it. And I won't deny there's likely lots of repositories online ready for use. That is true. There's not a lack of options today. But perhaps you don't need to leave the Power Platform. Perhaps you don't even need to leave your agent. That's right, just by chatting with your agent, we can fine-tune a process and ask them to create a skill file. This brings a few perks, is you can fine-tune the process to your specific needs rather than grabbing a generic skill that doesn't have into account the structure of your database and so on. You can chit-chat with your agent and see how it can go. So let's go ahead, speak with our agents. I want to create a new skill MD file. I want to call it jokes and haikus, and it's meant to help me chat with a potential customer, and I want to make haikus or jokes about cars. So this is how we can start talking with our agent and say, hey, let's build a skill MD file. And the best part is, since it has context that we used a Dataverse or database interactions, it might actually bring it to our agent. So it's thinking, let's give it some time, and hopefully we'll get a skill file fresh out of the oven. Okay, it's upstarting a skill. As you can see, I can always click on the chevron to get a bit more insight of what it's building. And there we go. I forgot a few things. I want to reinforce the behavior. I only want this skill to be used when requested by the salesperson, and I want to have the ability to make my own theme of jokes or haikus. Keep the theme to cars as default if no input is given. So let's reinforce it a little bit further, something that we could have done it on the first prompt, on our first interaction, but I want to give you the idea that, hey, this doesn't have to be a one and done action. Perhaps we can literally talk and debate with our agent like we do with one another and refine our model, our skills file, time after time, interaction after interaction, and see how we get it closer. So as we can see, it's already updating its structure. Okay. Can I have the file, please? So once again, we should have our file real soon. Let it think for a bit, and hopefully we get our file for download real soon. So we got our file here. Great. It's downloaded. Of course, I've been trying a few times before, and as you can see, it generated a file for me. Jokes and haikus, a description, some structures, and so on. All right, so we have also tips and sales as well, match the vibe, and so on. So how can we put this file that I just downloaded, and I'll use the one I just downloaded. Let's put it here just for quick access, just in case. How do we get about it? So we had this skill, And as you can see, this is another interaction. Let's get rid of it. I'm just going to download it in case I want it back, but let's delete this one. And let's try and upload a skill. So you'll see that currently there's a small problem. It says that the name must only be lowercase numbers and hyphens, and there's also missing a few topics. So that's not the worst, because we can still process it. There's been currently a small issue with the header, so this generation doesn't match Copilot's way of working. That's fine, because we can still copy and paste these interactions. We can and with these changes, we can even copy our description over here, no problem. We just have to do it a little bit manually. So we've done all of this, a bit of copy paste more than expected, but this is just the first interaction. Maybe over time we get better outcomes or more streamlined scenarios. So let's clean our agent just in case. I want a joke about red cars. Let's see how good or bad these are. Let's see. Why do cars always get pulled over first? Because they can't help but catch up to everyone else on the road. Wow. Maybe this helps you sell some cars. I hope so. But let's also make me a haiku just in case. I love haikus. I'm just very bad at making them. And let's see what we pulled off here. Engine roars to life. Open road calls out my name. Home is where I drive. All right, very inspirational. Let's see if this can also boost our sales. But now, for our last topic, memory. We are going to just clean up, and I'm going to tell my assistant here my favorite color is red. And let's see what it does. Hopefully it's going to keep it in memory. Great. So the problem is, if I do a new chat, list cars with my favorite color, and it's probably going to be a bust. Why? Because it's a new session. It didn't record it. We just told it it's a new chat, it's a whole new interaction, but the agent doesn't remember it. Now, this means that you have to tell it it's red again, which becomes redundant. And here comes the new feature. It's a small one, but a very valuable one. So, if we toggle memory on, let's clean it up again and say my favorite color is red. We can see that it's going to say, okay, I'll save it to memory. And it says it already has noted. We've been trying this behind the scenes. So one thing you can take from this interaction is if you toggle the memory on and off, it's not going to delete the memory. It's just not going to use it anymore. Meaning that if you toggle your memory off, you're going to retain it elsewhere without, losing it, which is important. Sometimes you want to toggle it off because of an issue. Once that issue is handled, maybe you want to toggle it on and you don't lose that information built over time. So we're going to go on, new chat. I want a haiku about my favorite color and with a fast car to match. So we're going to try to give it a challenge. Let's see if it picks up a Ferrari or any other fast brand. And it picked up on the haiku one, and from memory, my favorite color is red, and what better color to match to a car than red and Ferrari. So let's see. Red flames on the road. Ferrari screams past the sun. Born to burn and fly. Very inspiring. So there you have it. This is just about it for today, but we already learned a lot on how we can empower your agents with skills and memory. So take a moment to absorb all we've done, look at what you've built so far, and see how your agents can benefit from skills and memory. See you next time.